Hey, it's Sinego, and you're watching Fame Magazine.
Hey everyone, this is Fame Magazine. My name is Savannah Joel. Today we're sitting down with Colombian music producer Sinego. Juan David, hi, how are you?
Nice to be here with you, Savannah.
Nice to see you too.
Great.
Where are you joining us from right now?
I am in Bogota, Colombia. Although I love Miami and I travel a lot there.
I love Colombia. Love Miami and love Colombia. There's a lot of Hispanic culture here. It's a very fun time. I'm super excited to be talking with you today, of course, about your career and your upcoming projects. I know you just released a new single, Labios, from your upcoming album, Alter Ego, or
Yeah.
Alterego, on September 29th. How have you felt since the release? How has it been?
It's great. I think this is like the dance floor edit of day track of the album. So in the album, there's like a day version and a night version that's more for nightclubs. And I have seen a lot of DJs playing the track, which is nice when it's not only like on your headphones playing, but it's actually moving people in clubs, and not only like in Latin America, but also in the UK, in Germany, and the US, which is like super interesting to see happening.
That's
So
super
yeah,
cool.
it has been like a great track so far.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love the idea of day and night for nightclubs and then for daytime. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I haven't seen anybody do that. I would love to talk more about you, about your background, to give like our audience and our viewers a better idea of you as an artist and your creative process. So, how did you first get into DJing or music producing? What sparked your passion for music and mixing sounds?
Well, my older sister is a violinist, so she got me into music when I was like very young, uh, on a, let's say, like classical music level. So I started playing like classical percussion, and then I went into more hardcore genres like punk and metal. I was really into like hardcore drums, and then I discovered electronic music by going to raves and like kind of producing, like understanding that you could create music without the need of having a huge orchestra, but rather just having yourself and like being very creative on a computer. So that's kind of how I got into the whole electronic music world.
Oh, cool. So you have like your sister's influence a little bit in your
Yeah,
start of your
yeah,
career. That's
for sure.
cool.
Like different influences from
Yeah.
different genres.
Yeah.
Yeah, from
That's
different
awesome.
genres.
That's awesome. I know your music often blends like different genres into itself. Can you tell us a little bit more about your creative process when you're curating sets or producing your own set of tracks?
Yeah, like I normally want something that works really well on the dance floor, that's not too dark, but it's also not too stereotypical, because normally when people think about Latin music, they think about like spicy, hot, like those kinds
Yeah.
of adjectives.
Hmm.
But I want to kind of give it a turn. So sometimes I like what I like is tracks and produce music that's kind of right in the middle of something that can be nostalgic, that's not very, let's say, very tropical, but rather very emotive of other kind of emotions. So creatively, I always try to look for genres and inspiration in music that's not very stereotypical. So for example, tango music in Latin America is very dark and very like not what you will expect from Latin music, right?
Hmm.
Or for example, boleros in all South America and Cuba. It's a genre that's very romantic, but it's not very like spicy, like
Yeah.
this stereotypical thing, right?
Hmm.
So that's basically what I do. Like I go search for genres that are not part of that stereotypical sound of Latin music.
That's great. It's like a little bit of everything for everyone.
Yeah,
I love that.
exactly.
That's so good. I know many DJs and producers have like unique rituals and pre-performance routines. Do you have anything that you do to prepare for a set before the set?
I normally like to kind of do a lot of mashups and a lot of poems. What I mean with this is that, so, like, my music is not very high energy, right? It's not like techno,
Hmm.
like warehouse techno. So normally when I play in a club, the energy, like I sometimes play after like very energetic DJs, or energetic musicians. It's kind of difficult to take the energy from like here from here, right?
Yeah,
To
yeah.
like level up. So a technique that I do right now is including a lot of poems. So for example, the other DJ finished his set, her set, and then I start with a poem basically to kind of take the energy completely down and step it up. And that kind of ritual that you were asking is basically like, let's say I play in Mexico, right? Like, so I go and find poets, like Mexican poets, that can help build the story in that first 5 minutes of the show.
Oh, nice, nice. So you were saying about how it might be difficult to like adjust energy levels, and I can imagine having so much equipment, there might be times where something may go wrong. Like, is there any memorable time that you had a challenging moment during a live performance?
Sure. Normally, like I play timbales when I'm DJing,
Mm.
and there is something that always happens. Basically, like drumsticks always break
Ooh,
on like the timbales that I get. I don't know
yeah.
why, like in the set. So
Yeah.
normally I end up basically playing with with whatever is available. You know, like
Hmm.
playing with literally like random sticks that people hand me from like production. You know, like
Yeah.
wooden sticks or like metal sticks. So that's basically like what always ends up happening, not
Yeah.
traditional drumsticks.
Yeah, you improvise. You have to do what you got to do. That's great.
Exactly.
I also know that you've collaborated with a lot of different many artists, but there are any artists or producers that you dream of collaborating with, if there's any?
Yeah, like I I want to like kind of bridge a lot of the regions that we have right now in the world, like in the music world. I think a lot of producers are taking influence by Latin American sounds,
Hmm.
and I want to bridge those producers from like Germany or the UK
Hmm.
with like the true producers of Latin music. So, for example, Kai Music in Germany, or you also have Black Coffee from South Africa. Those kind of acts would be like dream collabs that I would love to achieve.
Yeah, yeah. I think um I think it's always fun when there's two different kinds of artists that have like completely different backgrounds or cultures, and then they mix and they make something that is a little bit for everybody, and then it introduces like your audience to that culture or that type of music. So that's great. I think that's super important for artists to do, and in a way to kind of expose their own music to everybody. So that's great. Um,
Yeah,
so I know I'm not super familiar with the evolution of music within DJ music or just like house music in general or that kind of production of sound. Is there any trends or shifts in the industry that you find exciting or intriguing, or even trends that you don't like to use yourself?
I think electronic music is going in a very positive way right now because it's becoming a little bit more melodic,
Mm.
and it's having influences by more like w- very different places right now. I think there was a moment like 5 6 years ago where it was really really energetic and aggressive. Like music was getting really just like it was like kind of a competition of who has the loudest track and is like the more aggressive kick, the more aggressive synth,
Yeah.
not much thinking about like harmony or like any elements. And now it's becoming way more influenced by like samples and like harmony and like pianos, which I
Ooh,
really really like,
yeah.
with like melodic house and melodic techno. So I think it's going towards a very good state.
Mm.
Like vocals are also coming back, you know, like those vocal hooks,
Mhm.
which I really love. And I think like now is the time to explore musically in electronic music. Like people is really really open to dance to different stuffs at the dance floor.
Yeah. I feel like you infuse a lot of course, like Latin sound within your genre of like electronic music. Do you feel there's any like stereotypes within Latin music now? And if you do you think those stereotypes could be could be altered or could be changed by infusing more like Latin music within the electronic genre of music, if that makes sense?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I think the first stereotype is that everything is very kind of wrapped,
Hmm.
because of the influence of reggaeton.
Mhm.
So, for example, a lot of tech house DJs, use Latin samples, and they think like Latin America is kind of like a reggaeton star singing on top of a tech house track. And that's one of the stereotypes that I would love to kind of break. Like, we also have like great singers, and like they have their own soul to their way of singing and like speaking. Also, I think it's like the way that Latin music is, as we say, like very spicy and very like uh, elevating all the time, but it can also be quite the opposite. It doesn't have to be super like shiny and like super, I don't know, like dance floor focus. It
Yeah.
can also elevate other kind of feelings. So that's kind of the second feeling that we can break, and that like I'm trying to break.
Yeah.
So people can include more samples and more, I would say, other genres into their productions in the world of electronic music.
Yeah. I mean, beyond that Latin influence within your music, are there any art forms or experiences that influence your work as an artist, or like any particular sources of inspiration outside of the world of music that have a big impact on your creative process? It could be like heritage, it could be anything really.
Sure, like I think people like Anthony Bourdain is really
Mm.
inspiring for me, because he's someone that did what I'm trying to do with music, but with food. Basically, he had this program called No Vacancy, and also like this book, Kitchen Confidentials. And well, throughout his life, he was like traveling to different places of the world and like being very honest with the approach he had to food. Uh, it wasn't like very like we're going to the 5-star restaurant or the 3 Michelin star restaurant in Dubai. He will go and like kind of taste everything from the bottom to the top of the gastronomy world. So I think he's a great kind of um, inspiration for me in that part. You know, like I also want to take all the different like spaces and like kind of genres that we have in the world. Now starting with Latin America, but I think that honest approach is very inspiring. Yeah, I think I would say definitely Anthony Bourdain is like one of the biggest like inspirations right now.
I love that you're taking inspiration from someone in a completely different industry than you. That's great. I love that. I really want to talk about more about your upcoming album, though. Can you tell us a little bit more about Alterego and what can we expect from it?
Sure. Well, basically, I took like all countries of Latin America, and I traveled to them and I sampled them like one genre per country, and I mixed it with house and techno. So each of the tracks has a day version that's kind of like an easy listening experience. It's more about the textures, it's more about what can kind of learn from that track. And then we have La Noche version, that's the night version, that basically means the dance floor version that's more to kind of generate some kind of catharsis in the rave, right? In the
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
So what you can expect is a lot of different genres. So for example, in Argentina we took milongas, in Colombia we took like kind of cumbias, in Puerto Rico we took like nice genres like songs like El Ratón to kind of like mix it with house music. So I think it's a sound exploration rather than saying like this is my exact sound. It's more like an album that the idea is that takes you traveling, right? Like coming back to the Anthony Bourdain kind of concept, it's an album that you should like hear with headphones or in the dance floor and take it as a travel to all the region.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's different than your past sound or your past music?
Definitely, like now it's more, it's less pretentious. Like I have tracks that are 7 minutes long in the album. I have tracks that don't have lyrics at all. So it's not trying to kind of be on that stereotypical level of electronic music, right? It's not trying to be something in the electronic music world. It's trying to kind of explore the sounds of Latin America rather than accomplish something with a specific sound.